You said no, a small, simple no. And 40 minutes later, you're still there, sweating, building your fourth version of the same explanation, and somehow you're the one who feels guilty. How did a one-word answer turn into a trial where you're the defendant? You walked into the JADE trap. Justify, argue, defend, explain, 4 things that feel like the reasonable, adult, fair thing to do, and 4 things that, with a certain kind of person, hand them the exact tool they need to wear you down. Today I'll show you what JADE is, why it feels so responsible while it's quietly sinking you, and the surprisingly small move that steps you out of it. The usual careful note first: I'm not diagnosing anyone, and explaining yourself is a perfectly good thing to do with most people in your life. This is about a specific pattern, someone who treats your explanation not as information, but as an opening. As always, we're watching a behavior, not pinning a label on a person. Here's the idea. When a reasonable person hears your no, they take it as a decision. They might be disappointed, they might ask a question, but the no holds. When someone is trying to control the outcome, they hear your no as the opening bid, the start of a negotiation you didn't agree to have. And the moment you justify, argue, defend, or explain, you've accepted the terms. You've quietly agreed that your no is a proposal that needs their approval to become real. So here's the one thing I want you to carry out of this video. Your reasons are not the thing they're after. They're the thing they use. Every explanation you give is just more material for them to argue against. Watch how the trap actually springs. You say no. They ask why. And it sounds so fair, doesn't it? Just wanting to understand. So you give a reason. Now, instead of a no, there's a reason on the table. And a reason can be disputed. That's not a good enough reason. You did it last time. I can't believe this is a problem for you. So you give a better reason. And a better one. Each explanation is a new surface for them to push on. And the whole time you feel it happening. Your clean, calm no is dissolving into a puddle of, well, it's just that. I mean, you know how you're not defending a decision anymore. You're auditioning for permission. Let me name the 4 moves so you can feel them coming. Justifies when you start selling the legitimacy of your choice. I really would. It's just that money's tight this month. Now the conversation is about your finances, not your answer. Argue is when you get pulled into debating the merits, trying to win on logic, but you'll never win because winning was never available. The goal was to keep you in the ring. Defend is when you start protecting yourself against an accusation you never should have accepted, explaining why you're not selfish, not lazy, not a bad friend. The second you defend the charge, you've agreed it deserved a trial. And explain is a sneaky one because it feels like simple honesty. But past a point, over-explaining to someone who's using it against you isn't honesty. It's you, anxiously trying to get a person to agree that you're allowed to have a limit. And they will never agree because your agreement was never the point. Your compliance was. So here's the way out, and it's almost uncomfortably small. You let the no be a complete sentence. Not rude, not cold, just complete. No, I can't make it. Full stop. That doesn't work for me. Full stop. You do not tack on the paragraph. You resist the pull, and it is a real physical pull to fill the silence with a reason, because the reason is the bait, and the silence is you not biting. When they push, and they will, you don't grab a new argument. You calmly repeat the same short line, almost word for word. Like I said, that doesn't work for me. People have called this the broken record, and it works precisely because it gives them no new surface to push on. There's nothing fresh to argue with. You become, in the best way, boring to fight. And if you want to give something, give acknowledgement instead of ammunition. I can hear you're frustrated. My answer's still no. You've been kind. You've been clear. And you've handed them nothing to pry at. Warmth is not the same as a reason, and you're allowed to offer the first while withholding the second. Now let me be honest about how this feels, because it feels wrong at first, like you're being difficult or hiding something, or you owe them the courtesy of a case. That guilt is exactly the hook. It's the feeling that keeps decent people explaining themselves into exhaustion. You can be a deeply honest, generous person and still understand that with a specific someone, your reasons are not a gift. They're a lever. You're not allowed to be tricked into arguing for the right to your own answer. Here's the honest close, same as always. Constantly having to guard your own no with someone is itself information about that relationship. A healthy one doesn't put your boundaries on trial. Noticing that pattern isn't cynical. It's clarity. And plainly, this is education, not therapy, and not a diagnosis of anyone. If you're in a relationship that has turned controlling or coercive, where saying no isn't just exhausting but unsafe, and that's beyond what a video can help with, and real confidential support exists. For immediate emotional crisis, call or text 988. For domestic violence support, Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Text START to 88788 or visit thehotline.org. So the next time your simple no starts turning into a courtroom, remember, you're not on trial. Say the short true thing and let the silence do the rest. No is a complete sentence. Next video, the quiet habit that protects you before a conversation even starts, deciding what you stop sharing with a difficult person, and why your good news, your fears, and your plans are the exact things they'll use later. Subscribe so it's there when you need it.